The One Piece! The One Piece is real!
Can we get much higher? So high.
It's a great day here at KEKFILA, your number One Piece podcast and Tier Zero podcast. May I add? And then today I have with me a special guest, but a returning guest, Saucy. Welcome, Saucy.
Yes, sir. Good to be here, Kek. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. It's always great to see you. And then I have Jackson Hoang, aka Clyde.
Hey, nice to see you, and thanks for having me here.
My pleasure. Today, the episode is sponsored by Loser Dawn, and we have also some Luffy mats. I'll put that in the description below. But get your Loser Dawn, because you know when you're listening to this podcast, you're going to have to hand out those L's, and that's what you're going to need them for. And yeah, I did send both Saucy and Jackson some Loser Dawn as well.
Awesome, appreciate it.
So you can hand it out. You might receive it before you go to Ohio. I put it in the mail on Monday, but it probably didn't ship out till yesterday. So,
Jackson, you going to Ohio, brother?
Yeah, but I'm not doing One Piece. I'm doing Battle Spirits, actually.
Oh, right on. Oh, yeah. Get that dub, bro. Isn't it like $1 million?
I wish. I think it's like 7K for first or something. Honestly, like...
Okay.
If we're talking about value, One Piece is obviously more value if you top that. But Battle Spirits, I just want to try a new game and see if I can top there too.
Right on, man.
Wow.
Right on. I'll be in Columbus also, so maybe I'll see you there.
Yeah, for sure. I'll definitely hang around One Piece because a lot of my friends are doing the One Piece things, and if I bomb out Saturday, I'll try to do a One Piece side event on Sunday.
Hell yeah, dude. Right on. I'm sure I'll see you around.
Yeah.
Dang.
I feel like we always see each other at all these live events. Because you were at Las Vegas, you were at Montreal, and then now we're going to Ohio together.
We all need to get a room together now.
You were in Montreal? Oh, that's right. You know what? It's so funny because at the time I didn't even know who you were. And people were like talking about like, oh my God, Jackson, he's here. He's going to get his third Luffy card or fourth Luffy card at the time. I'm like, oh, who's Jackson? I don't really know. I don't think we ever faced in Swiss, actually.
No, never.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna be honest though, every time I see you on an event, I would know you as the blue guy, and I would play a deck that like counters blue, like either Kid or like Law. I was like, oh man, I hope I match against the blue guy. Nothing against you. You're probably a really good player, but I just wanted to go against Luffy.
Yeah, man. Unfortunately, I've been relegated to play only blue now, but I'm gonna try to branch out for set 3.
Really?
Play some yellow.
You know, I always feel that, and set 2, I wanted to branch out into red, but I made any excuse to play blue. So I think that's just. And you're gonna make an excuse to play blue again. I think I'm already making excuses to play Doflamingo.
I don't know. I'm gonna definitely try to make it work next set, but yellow, I'm definitely set on playing yellow as well. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah.
I am interested in hearing about Jackson's opinion on set 3, though.
Honestly,
honestly,
it's not great because. It's red everywhere. Like I follow the results in Japan. I did some playtesting, and it's just red is just so oppressive, and like that sucks for me because I'm kind of a metal sheep. I'll play whatever I think is best. I don't really care what color it is. That's why I played Kid in set 1. I played Law and Zoro in set 2, and then if red ends up being the best in set 3, I'll just play that too. And like it gets a little like boring to play the same thing over and over again. So I did want to play like yellow or like black, but. I don't know. I tried those two, and it just doesn't seem consistent enough. But like I can definitely see it winning for sure. Don't let your dreams and memes try to top with them.
Yeah, absolutely. The beginning of this podcast too, I wanted to get a little bit more to know about Jackson, right, before we jump into the card game, and before we get to know Jackson's accomplishments, right, because Jackson is probably the most accomplished actually so far at One Piece in the short 7-month stint we had, right, so far, which is kind of crazy. But I guess Jackson, where do you like come from? Where do you live around? Do you live in like the East Side or in California?
So I'm from the East Coast in New York. Originally from New Jersey, but I moved out to New York to live with my currently fiance. But yeah, I lived in like the main part of New York City, like in Queens. So like we have like a ton of locals here. But I don't actually get to make time to go out to locals that much because it's hard to get anywhere in New York unless you want to take like a train ride, like an hour train ride somewhere.
Yeah.
So I mostly just spend my time playing online.
Glad to hear that.
Right on.
And with that too, do you play any other like games outside of card games at all before? Are you just a competitive player? What's Jackson? You know?
Yeah, I love to play all kinds of games. Like video games, I play with my friends online like every night, whatever they want to play, like Valorant or League of Legends or whatever game they want to play at the moment. But I also play a lot of board games too. At my house, I have a huge board game collection of like 30, 40 games because me and my fiance and all our friends love playing board games too. So we used to gather like once a week, play a new board game or something. So I'm like really competitive. And even before TCGs, I did kind of competitive mobile gaming. I'm not sure if you guys heard of like Clash of Clans or the Clash Royale. It's like these mobile game by Supercell that made a lot of money. But I did competitive Clash Royale for a little bit, and that was pretty fun. Got to win prize money, got to travel to like Toronto and Los Angeles.
Amazing,
competitive
Yeah.
Clash
Were you
Royale. I
successful at
thought
it?
those are just bait games online. That
Nah, they're really successful now. I was pretty successful at that. I think in this early onset, I was like one of the better players. Like I like had my name out there, and they flew me out to places and did one of the tournaments. And even today, I think it's like an official esport because like organizations, like esports organizations, are in it, like Team Liquid or TSM and that kind of stuff. Like they actually have teams there.
I just thought that was like a
Yeah.
push and play mobile game or something like that. I guess I never really gave it a chance. So
Yeah, I
it's-
heard it was hyper competitive, but I didn't know it. At what level? Like, where they actually had
Flying
like
you out?
tournaments in different countries and stuff.
Yeah, they did, and
Oh.
they had like $1 million prize pools and everything.
Jeez,
I mean,
that's
it's a
insane,
mobile
dude.
games have the most money. That's just that's just
So
it.
pretty much whatever game Jackson plays, expect him at the top. Somebody
Well, I was
sponsor this man.
I was in the
Whatever
early
game.
onset of it though, so like I was there before the $1 million prize pools. I was more there for like the grassroots tournaments where like community would host tournaments, and then like the first official hosted tournament by their company Supercell. I went to
I'm
that.
just thinking of like every
Badass.
board game I can think of competitively. Like, you ever play Cover Your Assets, that card game before? It's just
No.
a little card game. Oh, dude, it's a good card game. You can card count in it. Try it out.
What
It's-
about Catan? Is that
I've
that
actually
seems like a game
I've
that
seen
would be-
competitive Catan.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
competitive Catan actually too. So
Yeah?
I've never done it.
that would be super
I am
hype.
terrible at Catan.
What if we bring like a Catan to like we go to a regional and it's just side events, but like, oh, we couldn't get in one, so we're playing Catan on the side.
competitive Catan?
That was actually my thinking at Gen Con because I'm doing Gen Con, and I looked up like competitive Catan events. I was like, oh man, if there's no tournaments going on this time, I'm gonna try to enter a Catan tournament or something.
No,
Even though
for
I've
real?
never played competitive.
That's wild, dude.
Yeah, just for fun. 'Cause I
Yeah.
love the game.
Yeah, I've seen people play competitive
Mhm.
Monopoly. I'm like, how do you like?
I've
How do you
seen.
get good
I
at
play-
this game? It's
I play
like
quite a bit of poker.
dice roll.
I've known people to like put $100 on a game of Monopoly. It just makes it more interesting, right?
Just for fun. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's just for fun. But like, the objective is that you can't just like mess around and like try to lose. You know, like you don't want to lose, and it makes the game a little more in depth, and so you kind of have to abuse the game for what it is.
Nobody's trolling. Like, here, I'll give you my house. Just give me $1 or whatever.
Yeah,
You need some stakes.
exactly,
Mhm.
right. And
High
so I don't know if do you have a thing with poker too, Jackson? If you
I played poker when I became legal. And then in casinos as well. I don't like playing in casinos because when I'm at casinos, I'm with friends, so I want to socialize. Poker is like a kind of a one-person game. I'm just trying to pass time or trying to win money. And usually when I go with friends.
Okay, got it. Yeah. I have like a home game. I don't host it. I go to and play, right? And I deal. So that could be ever a thing if you ever get friends around. You just do that because it can be fun, but it's a different kind of game, right? It's it's definitely a big money game too, but it definitely takes a lot more time than any other game.
Yeah.
When you think about it, right?
Poker
Yeah.
does?
Yeah.
Because you play until you run out of money, right?
Well,
you play until one person has
normally a
everything.
session, if you're playing, let's say with a bunch of friends, you might be playing from 7 p.m. to 2 a.m, right? Once a week, maybe twice a week, or once every 2 weeks. Depends on when you.
When does this tournament end? When everyone is out
It's
of
not
money?
a tournament; it's cash. You just
Yeah.
you can walk in
Or
with
like-
$100, lose it the first hand, and say, "I don't feel like losing anymore. I'm going to go home." Right?
Yeah,
But they
or
may
you
not
can
allow
buy
you
back
to.
in.
Play until whenever.
Yeah,
Okay.
or usually a lot of games they might just say you can put as much money as you want as you want on the table, right? And then they don't care, you know. But sometimes they might limit it to protect you, to say, oh well, I'm going to say you can only match the stack, because they don't want you like just losing a bunch of money. For if you have some decent players that are whales that have a lot of money, it can be pretty entertaining when they're buying in for the stack over and over again. They're going to double you up, but they're going to end up making money at the end of the night because of whatever. They just have more money. So it's a different game, right? It depends on the table, right?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Me and traditional like card games like poker and blackjack never really got along, dude. Every time I go to Vegas, I'm like, I'm always down. Never make money in Vegas.
Yeah. Well,
If you go even after Vegas, then that's a win. Not losing is winning.
For real.
I don't know if you guys gambled at all when you were in Vegas for Treasure Cup. I did a little bit. I think I made money. I actually did slots.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but most people, they told me, "Oh, dude, I lost so much at the casino." Like,
yeah,
that they sold their chopper, and they were like, "Oh, thank God, I sold my chopper."
That happened a couple of my friends, but actually, I actually gambled when I was in the Las Vegas Treasure Cup, and I actually broke even, which was like, okay, that's a win for me. I didn't lose money.
Wait,
you had your fun.
You broke even
with the same amount of money.
Even after Luffy and like your mat.
No, of course I didn't count that. If I broke even after winning all that, that would be a negative for me.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
Oh, yeah, that would be terrible.
I got $10,000 in value, and I... but you're just saying actual cash. Okay.
Yeah.
So did you end up selling your mat, actually? I know you're keeping your Luffy cards, right?
No, I still have it. I'm thinking of selling it now just because I'm moving soon and I need to like get rid of as much inventory as I can so that I don't have to move that much stuff. But I still have it for now. I think I sold most of my Luffys recently. Yeah, I'm just really bad at that kind of stuff because usually when I sell stuff, my fiance helps me. She packages everything, but she's away on vacation right now, so I've been really lazy with selling stuff because that means I would have to package it myself, which I don't want to do.
You know, it's okay. Luffy cards can wait.
Yeah,
there's always a market for that.
You can always take it to the post office, and they could maybe help you ship it.
Oh, I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah, you could just go take it there, and they'll be like, "Hey, what can I do?" And they're like, "Oh, what is it?" "Oh, it's a box like this." "Oh, okay." But for something that expensive, people like put it in a Tupperware and they put it in a big box. Right?
I've seen that. Yeah.
You want to put it in a bigger
like
box,
a
possible,
acrylic container, like an acrylic case, maybe and put it in a bubble mailer. Usually that's enough, right?
Just the raw card, paper mail, just a stamp.
Just a card in there.
White envelope.
Not even a top loader.
Jeez, imagine.
That's a social experiment.
Yeah, I would be so triggered if I saw that.
Have you gotten any damaged cards, Clyde? From
so I didn't realize this was a thing. Like I saw you having other people, but like apparently every Zoro was like messed up in the back. Because I was trying to sell mine, like I was selling for a regular price, and then the guy asked me if I can look at the back and see if there's a dent in the right corner, and both of them had a dent in the right corner, the exact same spot. And I was like, wow, this is a thing. All the Zoros are messed up or something. So those are the only damaged cards that I got.
Why is it all the right corner? Like that's so odd.
It's a production issue.
Cuts the card. The machine that cuts the card.
Yeah, but like I guess I don't know what a sheet looks like. I guess the sheet would have equal amounts of Zoros to Luffy's or something. Like I don't know.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
like I would like do all the Zoros at one time and then do all the Luffy's at one time. That's why like the pages of Zoros, like that run was probably messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's unfortunate because there's so few out there, you know. Zoro's the one that's like
I've never seen someone play with that Zoro. I've seen someone play with like other cards, but not that Zoro, which it's the most like played card in any red deck, right? Maybe it's just that valuable.
It's not the Rush Zoro. It's the other what started deck Zoro.
Oh, it is?
You don't play as much, yeah.
Oh, well, I guess you play that law, but yeah, you're right.
Did you get some mileage from your law or your Zoro?
Me? No, I never. I'm a minimum rarity guy. I don't play anything higher than minimum rarity. Like no altar leaders, nothing.
That is so funny, dude.
The only altar things I play
potential for rarity or in your deck.
Yeah, I know. I just could never like do it. I just felt bad if I'm playing it. The only thing that's not base rarity is the Dawn because I love the color Dawn, and that was the only thing I wanted to spend money on.
Yeah, you see, I'm trying to increase the rarity of my deck, so I throw $100 into my leader. And hopefully
That's all you need, huh?
No,
The main card.
no. I used to be a minimum rarity person too, but I did well with the deck, and I'm like, oh, let's just max rarity it. That's fine. I won some money. So and blue's not expensive to max rarity. So
No, it's not.
well,
But I'm actually curious about this one, Jackson, because I'm not sure if you've heard, and I'm sure Keck, you may not have heard about this, but like people say that foil cards tend to be like heavier, so you're more
Lighter.
likely to like draw them off the top.
Lighter.
They tend to like move up higher.
I've
Yeah,
never
you guys-
heard of that.
it's
Really?
it's a myth. I've heard of
Is it?
this 100 times, and essentially they're technically, I think they're lighter. Actually, foil cards.
Are they?
Yes. And people have a theory that foil cards somehow end up going more toward the top, which is completely hocus pocus. You know, if
I was gonna say maybe
that's why
this is why I
people
don't ever draw my
that's why
Coronas.
people might get like a micro scale. If you ever heard that, they scale out packs and they go, okay, these two have the foils, the rest don't, based off of just pure math, and then they might mess with the box and only take those
Listen.
cards, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe that's why I do so well as a minimum rarity player.
Ooh,
'Cause
that's
all my
a
cards,
secret.
I mean,
all my cards are just the same weight.
it has the
All
same.
right, everybody, y'all
foil.
taking notes, right? Let's write this down. Minimum a rarity a deck.
Mhm.
Have the edge in big tournaments. Noted.
And definitely, if you have a minimum rarity deck, they don't. If the opponent doesn't know you, they may not think anything too highly. But if you show up with like a minimum, like a high rarity deck, they might think, "Oh, this person's serious about this game. He's trying to make money." So they find that so intimidating, right? But if I sit down in front of Jackson, I had no idea who Jackson was, you know, and we're down to the
You
first
see my regular
game,
regular
I might be
Zoro.
like, okay, maybe I can do a risky mulligan against this guy, right?
No, but it wouldn't work against Jackson because his Dawn are foiled, right? He's
Yeah,
got
but you
the
wouldn't see
strike.
I
that
wouldn't
until
see
after.
that.
You bust that out. I'm like, oh,
you
this
probably
guy
play
is
with
not-
Dragon Shield sleeves too, you know?
Yeah, I put in like playing Dragon Shields. But
Uh.
actually, that happened to me in one of my tournaments. Because the guy knew I won a lot of Luffy's, and he saw me flip over my leader. He was like, "Why do you still have a minimum rarity leader? You have like 3 Luffy's or whatever." And I was like, "I just like minimum rarity stuff."
Mm.
I think the minimum rarity stuff looks good too. I actually
Also, you don't feel as bad like shuffling with those types of
Yeah,
decks. You just kind of
exactly.
like whatever, done deal. You could like do a poker shuffle and not
Yeah,
feel
especially
bad.
if your opponent like shuffles like a maniac. Like
Oh.
if he tries to bridge shuffle your cards, I don't want like my $1,000
Right.
cards getting riffle shuffled or like bridge
Yeah.
shuffled.
Well, in that scenario,
True.
you tell them, or if you don't feel comfortable with them. I'm sure you guys have people at your locals that shuffle like Pokemon players, you know? And so I'll ask them, I don't want you to shuffle, or can I have a judge shuffle my deck instead?
But then somebody will like take that like offense, I know there was this guy in Montreal that I met. He was actually from San Diego, and he had like a foiled out Whitebeard deck. Like he had 4 like manga aces, and he was
Yeesh.
telling me how during the tournament, this dude he was playing, like I guess the guy just didn't have any idea like what the concept of value is in this game. He doesn't know anything, and he was like pressing down on his ace like super hard on the table. Like he was like targeting, and the way he would target is like he would like press down on a card. Like, bro,
Really?
relax. Yeah, if I saw
Yeah.
that, it's upset, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, that's what you tell your opponent. Hey, can you please ask before you touch my
Can you
cards?
chill? Can you relax? That's so hard, man. Just point.
yeah.
You know?
It's okay. Some
Okay.
people don't know that. Like I've had people like that, and since I have really crappy cards, I don't mind, but
Yeah.
I don't like playing against those kind of people either.
Yeah, it's like an etiquette thing, just kind of exactly what that is.
Mhm.
Okay, great. Let's actually get to know just a few of your accomplishments before we actually go into anything else, just so people know who we're talking to, right? I just to start it off from pre-release, or I guess maybe even trial deck meta.
Yeah. So I went to all the pre-releases because I knew of this game when it was coming out in Japan because I played Digimon, which is also another Bandai game. So they announced that One Piece was coming out, which is probably my favorite IP. And I watched gameplay and I really liked it. So I made sure to go on the pre-releases. I dragged my fiance to come with me so that we can get starter decks or whatever. And I went to 4 or 5 of them. I think I missed out on one of them where I didn't get the super pre-release Luffy. And I heard that the deck limited battles that are coming out, which is just where you combine 2 starter decks and just play.
Yeah.
And you can also get a Luffy. So I was like, this is the first real tournament. I want to do really well. So I won one of those. It was like the absolute last one. And that was where I got my first Luffy with, I think, Blue Crocodile.
Mhm.
That was the only time I ever won anything playing blue.
That's awesome.
And yeah, that was really fun. And then after the set 1 came out, that's when they started announcing treasure cups and all these kind of things where you can earn more and more Luffys. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go hard in this game because serial Luffys are like really cool because the serial number thing, where you can get a good number. I really like the gambling aspect of that. So I tried to go really hard in this. I kind of like stopped playing Digimon as much and put more time to One Piece.
Mhm.
So fast forward to set 1, Treasure Cup, Las Vegas. I won that one and earned my second serial Luffy. So I was feeling good. That was playing Eustace Kid, and at that time, a lot of people had like 2 Luffys. Like one of my friends, Kevin, he had the same thing as me, where he topped the Treasure Cup, got a Luffy, and he won a Declan battle and got a Luffy too. So I was like, okay, I need to beat this guy. I want to get my 3rd Luffy. So then set 2 came out, and then I got 2nd in a regional and won my 3rd Luffy with Law. And I was like, okay, cool. I have the most Luffys now. I'm gonna try to stay up here and try to win as much Luffy as I can, so people can catch up to me. And then played another regional or Treasure Cup, I think. Got a top 8 with Zoro. Got my 4th Luffy, and then just I think last week or 2 weeks ago, topping it with Zoro. Got my 5th
Saturday.
Luffy. Yeah, last Saturday. And I think that should be the most for now. I think the second most right now is 3. Unless I hear otherwise, but yeah, so I'm just gonna try to keep the Luffy count ahead, try to get my rankings and the limitless standings really far ahead.
Bro, you're like blowing the competition out of the water, man. You like 2 above.
Yeah,
that's the goal.
I'm going for choppers. I'm trying to hit that.
Choppers.
Yeah, I got 3. I actually got 4 choppers now.
That's probably more practical because you actually use those cards.
Yeah, well,
Right.
people, it's easier to buy them too. We'll go into it later about last Saturday. I lost my last game barely. I'll be upset about it for a couple weeks, but that's
Dude, that happened to me too, actually. I lost my last game,
Mhm.
and that guy I lost to, he ended up getting 8th. It's like,
Oh yeah,
me.
yeah. I'll talk to you about. I believe his name was McSnipe, right? I faced him in round 2, and I beat him in round 2. So.
Mhm.
So yeah, and he was like so high. He gave me 20 subs on Twitch after because
wow,
because he was already a subscriber on my Twitch, right? And I only had 3 subscribers.
Oh wow, that's like 1/20th of the Luffy he just earned. So that's understandable.
I mean, I'm like not mad about it. If I got top 8, I think if I won that last game, I think it would have pushed him down. So I think so, but the thing is, his tiebreaker would have been even better because I would have won. But
right,
yeah, but. Who knows? We can't push Jackson out. It's impossible.
I thought that I was barely gonna make it, but I made it 6. I was like, okay, I was pretty comfortable.
Because you lost like round 2, right?
Round 2. But both my first round opponents went 7-1, and they were really good too. That's like the kind of good and bad thing about going against really good people. Like, yeah, they'll help your tiebreakers, but then they're also harder to win so early into the rounds. Like, I'd rather be playing them like round 6, round 7.
Yeah. Well, if you're going to go undefeated, you rather face all the worst people,
Yes, exactly.
But if you're planning, well, I actually want to be realistic here. I'd rather get a good tiebreakers. Let's actually face all the best players.
Yeah.
And round
it's good
1,
and bad, right? You got to take the risks.
It's 50-50 if you get a round 1 bye as well. I've been getting buys my round 1. Like the last 2 tournaments, I've had like a bye, and I'm like, why?
I can't believe you got that. Like, there's only 1 buy, right? Every round.
It only happens to Twitch streamers. Okay,
out of 500 players, you got the buy twice.
Actual buy. The person comes and says, "Hey, I'm playing Diablo. You got the win," and I'm like, "Okay, well."
Oh, okay.
That's a good drop.
Yeah, it's essentially a drop, right?
What's worse, a drop or a buy? Or is that like
that person's gonna go X3 and drop? That's their plan.
So I've never like really calculated like how drops are calculated to your tiebreaker. So I don't know like if it's better for your opponents to go like 3-0 drop or is it 3-3 drop. Like, I don't know like what's the difference if your opponent drops or not.
It acts as like they went X and 9, right?
Oh, that's what I assumed.
Yeah.
Oh, if they drop. Oh, yeah. Okay. So yeah, the worst thing to happen is a drop then.
It's just what it is. Yep. That's exactly it, right? But sometimes you might get 2 players that might do the same thing. Imagine those lobbies where they're like, "Hey, man, I'm dropping round 1. You want the win?"
He's like, "No, I was actually going to give you the win." All right, let's flip a coin for it.
No,
let's just roll a dice.
Actually, at my locals, they made an interesting thing just to bring up. Last place, if you win no games, you got a playmat. for some reason they did that, and I'm like, why would you do that? So like these two players, they're basically fighting to lose. But I had to tell the organizer you can't do that because they would just forfeit. So so how about the last game they have to play to win? Whoever wins gets to forfeit. And so they agreed upon that.
That makes more sense.
Silly.
Yeah, I just told them just do whoever is in top 8, do a raffle for the mat, right? That's all. Because it was like a bigger tournament. So that's funny. Just a funny thing. But just a quick recap too. So we went through all those Luffys, and you played a lot of other card games. You jumped into Digimon. Was there any other card game before Digimon?
No, so Digimon was actually the first card game I ever played in my life. Growing up, Yu-Gi-Oh was really big, Magic was really big, but I didn't really, have the money for it because those card games are expensive if you want to do really well. So I never played that, and I started playing Digimon when my friend told me about it because it was really popular in Japan and it was doing well in North America. I was like, okay, cool. This could be like the childhood I never had where I can actually try to play a card game.
Isn't that card game really expensive when it first came out, though?
Digimon, it was. I heard I wasn't there when it first came out. I came out like set 4, set 5. I heard the beginning was very comparable. Like booster boxes were like $200. It was hard to get into it, and the tournaments were selling out as well. Even the prize cards were really expensive too. So I got into like set 4, set 5.
Yeah. At the time, I was still playing Vanguard on like a lot of online stuff with Vanguard, and I'm like, I never had an attachment to Digimon. I watched Digimon as a kid. I don't remember a thing about the anime or the TV or the cartoon.
I used to love that cartoon, man. And I was really gonna play the trading card game. Looks really interesting, but I never did get into it. I'm curious though what you think about it.
I would say, I mean, I can't really speak from experience, but I've heard that it's one of the more beginner-friendly TCGs. Like, it's not too complicated. Strategy is not too hard because there's not a lot of like back and forth interactions. Like in One Piece and like more card games, you can interact on your opponent's turn. In Digimon, it's kind of like the only interaction you have on your opponent's turn is, do you want to block, yes or no? Most of it is just kind of two people playing solitaire, doing a lot of plays on your turn. Once I run out of my resource, okay, now it's your turn. And then you do your plays or your resource. So it was very beginner friendly in that aspect. And I guess that makes it a little bit more skillful than other card games, but there was still plenty of skill involved. And I actually ended up doing really well in that game too. I think the nationals, it's at 2 nationals, and I topped both times.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
nice, man.
Yeah,
bro, this is not your first card game. You're like already in top tables, like killing it. That's amazing, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I was really like happy because I was like, okay, cool. I'm not total trash at card games. I'm pretty good. Yeah. So I was like, okay, cool. Let's branch out to other card games. That's why I'm doing One Piece now, and I'm trying to do Battle Spirits as well.
Yeah. The next thing I want to talk about is actually signing up for online. Now, Jackson, I'm sure I think you've gotten to almost all online events. You might be tied with me. Have you actually? What events have you missed on that are online in the US?
I've definitely missed some events that I ended up getting through waitlists. I think one of them was a Tixer event where I missed out. And then I ended up getting a waitlist like a couple hours later, and I was like, sending the TL my email. I was like, does this mean I'm in, or is this some kind of bug? And it's like, okay, no, you're in. I was like, okay, cool.
Vegas was like that for me, by the way. I got in through waitlist right away. But for online, however, right, I know I missed the first 2 online ones, but I haven't missed a single one since then. And I guess you've gotten in more than me, which is great, you know. Do you think in this world of people getting so butthurt at and so frustrated on signing up, right? Is there even like a secret about it, or is it just signing up faster?
It's just signing up faster, honestly, because I have like a 3-monitor display for my work, so I use 3 monitors when sign-ups go at the same time. I just refresh all of them at the same time. I have like the autofill credit card, that kind of stuff. I honestly when people told me they weren't getting in, I was like, oh, like, is it my internet faster or something? But my girlfriend tries to sign up for events at the same time too, and she doesn't get in either sometimes. So maybe it's just faster clicking. Like you just gotta.
Do you click like a few seconds before it reaches, the pinnacle of the clock, like 9 if it's 9 a.m. Do you click like 30 seconds or 10 seconds?
Yeah, I'm like spam refreshing like 10 seconds before, just because in case it comes out a little bit earlier.
It does. It comes out sometimes like 2 seconds earlier. I'm on the
that's
ball.
Why.
I get in a Discord with
that's the
people
secret.
because sometimes there might be a time where it's not working and all of a sudden it starts working. That's why we're like all together in there. And I would highly suggest that. But yeah, you just need to click and refresh about 20 plus times. Okay.
Jesus.
And then you'll get in, trust me. But it's not easy. I wish it wasn't this way, but Bondi kind of made it this way. So we kind of have to play that game of click faster. Suppose.
Yeah.
To their credit, they have increased the cap recently.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but the new ones that are
good news.
coming out, they're not. I'm really surprised Pasadena's 512. You know, at a
Is it
convention
an
center.
offline event?
That's an offline event. They have other offline events that are over 1,000, but Pasadena's
really?
512, and actually there has not been an online event for 1,000 yet.
I think that they just extended the waitlist for like events
PPG.
in like PPG in July. Those extended to like 1,000.
Well, we haven't seen how they've went yet. Sorry.
Yeah.
Because those should probably be a little interesting, right? I actually got on PPG because of that waitlist.
Nice.
But yeah, so just gotta click faster, right? That's always what I've been saying. And
Like faster.
But there's a strange thing you could do for some of these. I don't know. My buddy did this when he was refreshing on multiple things, right? He got into 3 of the BCP ones, right? But it was one login, right? And he got in, but he had 2 others in queue. So he just got his friend's information and put it in. And so he didn't like sell it, right? But in case your homies are, really good at that and you're just refreshing on different things, then
have a homie do it for you.
I'm not saying have a homie do it for you, but maybe you guys can combine in case one of you doesn't get lucky, right?
Oh, interesting.
It's a culture. I'm not saying that you should be doing this. I'm saying that it can be done.
I mean, I'm gonna try the refresh method the next time. But my issue has always been, and this chick, KEK, is my internet is like the worst.
Oh,
I get maybe one refresh, and that's it. Also, these tickets sell out so damn quick.
Yeah.
It doesn't even go like past 10 seconds sometimes, like for these online events.
I'd be shocked
especially.
if it gets past 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's insane. Did you end up getting the Pasadena tickets?
That's
Jackson?
in 4 days.
Yeah, I think it comes out the 25th.
Oh, the offline event?
Yep.
Oh shoot,
we gotta sign up for that, and then
yeah, I definitely need to sign up for that.
Yeah, you're gonna sign up.
I'm gonna
for
be in
that.
Ohio though.
In Ohio? Oh, on Sunday? Oh, dude.
Oh, right. I totally forgot.
Okay, wait a minute. All right, we're gonna have to get my brains. I'll have to get some people together and see
Figure out
what we
what
can do.
the time zone is in Ohio.
I think.
When the ticket's gonna go up.
I wonder if there's like a place open that you could just do that, like a gaming place. That would be really cool. But it's like
an internet cafe or something.
What internet cafe is open? Oh, it'd be like 10 or 11 in the morning. It's not unreasonable.
I'm pretty sure internet cafes open like 24/7.
If there is,
what if they're in like Top Cut?
I don't know.
And they're doing it.
So one thing I heard about is in Montreal when they had signed up the same day as Top Cut, they especially because like Carta is the TO for Montreal, and then they had a tournament signing going up, so they let people, or they started the tournament later so that people could sign up for it. I'm not sure if they would do that for this because I think it's a different TO.
Yeah, but maybe talk to the tournament organizer when you top cut. Well, when you both top cut, be like, "Hey guys, we need to sign up for this. Can we please get some sort of exception?" Maybe you're facing each other in top cut, and you're just like, "Hey man, let's pause for the cause."
Right. We're both there,
we're gonna play best
of.
We're actually just gonna play best of one because.
Yeah, I mean, I get that it's an offline event, so it shouldn't be as hard to get into like the online, but it's still in LA, so
it's gonna be the most
quick.
contested one out of all of them.
I would think so. That or like maybe Florida.
Yeah, even the Florida one sold out pretty quick.
Well, the thing is, there hasn't been any events other than the one in California, and I want more in Vegas personally. I don't want it more at that convention center, all right, with loud music, but that's the cheapest one for me to go to. So that's
Vegas is.
I just want one on the East Coast that's not Florida.
I actually I'm like down to visit Florida. I'm down to do one on Florida if they ever have another one out there. I think it'd be a lot of fun. That's one of the cool things. Like with this game and doing like competitive play, you get it's such a small community. It's easy to get to know everybody and like meeting people in person in different places. It makes it such a dope game to play right now.
Yeah.
You know,
I did want to ask you both, and this is an open question to both of you, right? How has your locals been lately, right? I will say mine have just been a little down because it's just set 3 coming out, right? But and I guess I don't even know what your local scene is like in New York right now. I guess you don't go too often, but at the very least you've been there. So
Yeah, I'll be honest. Like, I don't go to locals unless it's for pre-release, just because it's just a hassle to get because like I would love to drive to locals, but parking in New York is so annoying, and there's some places that might not even have parking, so I don't go unless I have to. But when I went, especially during pre-release or even signing up for the pre-release this upcoming weekend, like tickets sold out or it capped really quickly. I'm not sure how the game is doing, but some of my friends go and like it seems like it's doing well. And some of the stores, they post videos on YouTube or like they announce like, oh, 16 people went, this is what won, that kind of stuff. So it seems like it's still doing pretty well. But New York's also like really high on trading cards. Like we have a million locals and a lot of people play it. So I think New York locals have been doing pretty well.
yeah, that's amazing, man. Actually, for me out here in LA, I'll be honest, for like up until like 2 weeks ago, it was pretty stale. Like people stopped showing up, and that was around the time we got the restocks of the new or set 2 and set 1, and locals would have like huge supply, but nobody was really showing up. So then they started doing like more sealed events to get rid of product, but it didn't actually start picking up until like a week ago. And like my last week's tournament on one of the stores out here in the valley, it was like we had I think 35 people, which is really good for that particular location. I think the hype is starting to come back now. Like people are more excited for set 3. So definitely excited for next week when all the regulars start returning.
Does pre-release bring any drama at all as far as getting in? I could speak on mine to give you a moment to think about that. I run my own Discord with Utah Discord for One Piece, right? There's like 130 people, so I have like a number of shops in there. They do signups. Some of the TOs are actually really good about being on top of things, right? And it's kind of nice to have that. But some of them, they don't want to use Bondi as far as these signups go because it's like a first come first serve, and so they've already like just do in-store signups, right? Or you can call. And some people get really hurt because like no one told me, and it's like, well, we kind of did. I actually added the whole Discord, and you're in the Discord, so I don't know what to tell you.
I actually like don't mind that because you're promoting like the local community. Like you're rewarding the people who go in the store, like who help build the community, and those are people that should get to play these nice events. And like I might be sounding like hypocrite because I don't go to the locals. And like I wouldn't mind it if they gave it like, oh, local sign up, and then that'll force me to come out more often, and then force the store to actually develop community. So I really like that. I wouldn't mind it if I missed out just because they were trying to support the people who actually go to the store, buy product, or support them.
Yeah, it's so funny that you said that because I feel like out here it's kind of like the Wild West, man. Everybody kind of handles their own pre-release differently than other stores, and there's shops that do like a raffle system. There's shops that do like priority to the players. There's a shop that will like they're like, okay, if you have to have entered at least 3 events in the last month to have priority on registering. But the cool thing is about like the amount of stores that we have out here in LA is that there's always an option and there's always a place to find like the best deals. I'm sure you guys have personally experienced like how much the boxes get inflated right after the set releases. Like these boxes are like 250.
Yeah.
That was insane, dude. For set 2, like 250 a box. This is crazy. How do you expect to get into the game at that price? Anyway, there's like certain stores that will sell it at retail, but in order to like prevent scalpers, they'll be like, oh, you
open in front of them, right?
Right. Yeah, they were actually like they'll let you buy it for okay. So there one shop that I thought was really interesting. They offer to sell it to you for 100, but they have to take off the plastic out of it. They take off the shrink wrap, but if you want it sealed, you could buy it for 150.
Yeah, but people,
awesome.
they'll still just walk away. That's the thing is they'll be like, sorry, I can't do that.
Which was really cool though, because all the entries they let you buy a box for $100 for just entering the pre-release. So I definitely think that it puts a lot of the stores that are like really good to their communities on the spotlight, and it brings more business for their stores. So I would definitely agree with that, Jackson.
Great, yeah. And the only reason I bring it up because people have fear of missing out, right? Like literally FOMO of missing out on pre-release. But it's almost becoming like pre-release might be the time where people only like, oh, that they start playing during pre-release and then that's it. Do they even have like a normal deck? Like,
I actually love pre-releases. This is my most fun I have playing One Piece actually, because it actually rewards like good deck building and like everything's different. It's like I love it playing more than a regular game.
I feel I learn a lot about the game during pre-release, and I feel my eyes opened wide up. I'm like, this game is really simple when you just play 4-cost vanillas and just kill your opponent. Like they just
and everybody's playing Kid.
I Zoro.
In the beginning of the
don't
pre-release
love,
format, but after like a week or so of like playing it, people pretty much figure it out, and it gets pretty stale.
If people could have, if there could be like a different leader sort of system for it, I think that would make it more interesting, right?
Yeah.
Even like a blank leader, like your leader doesn't do anything. That wouldn't even be that bad, right? But
see, that's why I'm excited for set 3, right? Because you got Nami now, and depending on what you draft, you could literally get like all the mill cards and have a broken deck.
I wouldn't think that would be even that good because you're not going to get any. Well, you'd have to get a lot of events. You'd have to get a lot of events.
30 card deck. What is it? 30 or 40?
40. 40. So it's 10 cards less.
Yeah.
Right. 40 card deck, and let's say you get like what? Like a couple of those mill 7 on damage cards.
Yeah, but
I'll just load them up.
You don't have a ton of defense in this game, right? And like that one, like it's like you're just gonna lose because of events. That's why Nami's good. It's because of the events, right?
Like the event pack.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try to make it work, you guys. I'm gonna try to make it work.
Okay, I know people are doing Sanji. People are trying out Sanji because it's a vanilla. You can place out more vanillas, right? But I have a problem with it because you can't really get a lot of events. Like you're not playing, you don't have Pump Gibson. You know, to make Sanji actually usable because of like Pump Gibson. You know, yeah.
And it's also diminishing returns because after you get 3 characters, then the leader effect is useless. And I actually saw that there's not a lot of vanillas in the set. Most of them are like 2-drop 4Ks. There's not a lot of like 5 drops or 6 drops.
Yeah, I mean, I assume in this you'll put every 4/6 and every 3/5 in your deck that you can. That's possible, and maybe 5/7s. But I try to avoid 2/4s unless I'm playing Zoro. But I'm not playing Zoro, so
yeah, that's true. I mean, just pull any of the bombs, and usually that'll be enough to have a strong deck. There are actually
some nuts SRs in this set. Like if you get like a 10-cost Big Mom, that might just set you off. Like, okay, sweet,
I'm mulliganing
for
this.
Like back in set 2, it was like if you got Whitebeard, then you're like set.
Really? Oh, I got Whitebeard, and I like
or like freaking the green card.
Yeah.
Double attacker.
Yeah. One
time
double
swing.
I got
Odin.
I got Ivankov and Whitebeard one time, and I couldn't do it. I lost. So,
dude, Ivankov is so broken in sealed. Ivankov is insane.
It definitely wasn't bad.
Draw 3 cards for free, basically.
And the great thing is, I was playing a lot of purple Impel Down cards, so it actually did some weird things.
Kind of synergize a little bit.
Yeah, it synergized actually a little bit. I'm like, why is this so good? It was.
That's awesome, man.
Because there's no blurple.
Set 2 was actually like one of the more fun seals that I would have said, because you get the 3-cost events. You know, the 6K counters. I think that makes it so interesting.
There's a lot of synergy. Down package stuff was
right, exactly. It's just like it just fits in every deck basically, and you're not restricted by colors, so you just
set 3 pre-release. There's like 50 videos out there on YouTube on what to do. I'm sure you guys have seen at least 1 or 2 of these in some of these cards, right?
The primers,
right? The thing is, the incentive this time isn't as big because I mean that pre-release Smoker sucked. Trust me, that was an overpriced card. But this VV is probably just going to be some shiny card that's going to go in your binder most of the time.
Yeah, I would say like the prizes themselves aren't that crazy. It's just going there for a change of pace where you're not playing the same old decks over and over again, and you can actually build decks. And that was like, I love building decks, so that's the most fun part of the game for me.
Mhm.
I agree, man. Deck building, I think, is one of my favorite parts about this game as well. And the fact that we're going into like a brand new format, there's always like that, that experience of like trying something novel, trying out different builds and stuff, and watching the meta kind of evolve before it gets stale all at the very end.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Start the
Yeah.
cycle anew.
The thing is, though, like, it really sucks. It's the middle of summer. I don't know if things go down or up. It sounds like people should go more to shops, right? But if this was like set 4 coming out right now, I feel like the hype would be unbelievably real, But now that set 4 is probably going to be sometime in the fall, right? September, right? Yeah, it's probably not going to be as crazy as it would have been, but I think it's still going to be really good. Like set 4, everyone's already in like a set 4 waiting room.
I think a cool thing about set 3 too is like it's felt like a long time between set 2 and set 3, like I don't know, like 3 months or something. But between set 3 and set 4, like the new star decks are coming out. I think the Luffy and the Yamato ones, the black and the yellow one. So it'd be like a kind of a meta shift too. So it's not just one format between sets. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it would have been really interesting if they allowed, like in Vegas, to use the purple trial decks that we got. That would have maybe shifted out what people played, because you may have actually seen like film Kaidos out there, right? Or at least with Uta, because that card was absolutely really strong at the time. So
yeah, I think I saw the set 1 championships for Japan, and I think Kaido won because it played a lot of like the film cards like Uta and maybe Buena Fiesta or something. Or I'm not sure if Douglas, but yeah, I remember like, oh yeah, purple is pretty strong with film cards.
But it's so funny because I don't think it really caught on after the decks even came out.
Well, so it's because we were waiting for set 2, and by that
Everybody
time set
was
2
like
came
checked
out. Yeah, because they couldn't play it competitively. That was the main thing, right?
That's true.
And
but
so set 2 came out.
Yeah, but with I think with set 2 going into set 3 with so much product like waiting in the sideline, it will definitely be less stale than it was for OPO2 in my opinion, because at least we're not like just waiting, with a stagnant meta.
I don't know what good cards are in those trial decks too. The yellow one. I know the.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Is yellow Yamato not bad?
I think the leader is not bad. I think it's okay. I know there's another 9-drop coming out that heals you if you're like 1 life or something. So that comes out. I'm not sure how good the black Luffy deck is.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just new cards, so maybe some stuff would change.
Awesome.
People figure it out. Yeah. I want black to be good, you guys. Is there any chance that black is going to be good next format, or are we just going to get pooped on by red all day?
I think the only thing stopping black from... I think Lucci and even Zorg is really good. I think the only thing that's stopping it from being bad is that you had like no turn 1 or Don 1 and Don 2 plays. Like every deck has a searcher. Black has none of that, but it gets 2 in the next set with the guy that searches the Navy brand new, and then the guy that searches CP9 and Spandam. Yeah. I think that's the only thing Black was missing. And then now they have those guys that can swing over Bonnie, swing over Makino. That doesn't force your leader to swing over it. I think it'd be really good.
You kill the little bodies.
The unfortunate thing is too, a lot of other decks they try to be useful by drawing more cards, giving you more options. Black makes you discard cards for like every skill, kind of limiting your options. And when your opponent sits there with less cards in hand, you have a better estimation of how much counter they could possibly have. And especially with how good all Black's cards are, having no counter, you could probably put them down as very little, Yeah. So I guess it's.
I think it'd be interesting to see what Black turns into next set, because they're getting the 8-drop, right? The E-Show. That card is like
awesome. I love that card.
It's so good.
Yeah, and it's just really fun to use too, because you get to discard 2 cards. So I saw one of the videos where a guy was playing against a Whitebeard, and he got to choose 2 of his cards, and he chose both Radical Beams from his hand. I was like, that's awesome. I would love to do that to somebody.
My question is, if you're playing decks that aren't Whitebeard against Black, like let's say I'm playing Doflamingo, do I play around that and try to have less cards in hand and discard like really heavily? I actually don't have a problem with that. I feel like I do that anyway, but it can happen. All of a sudden I have 6 cards in hand and I'm like, oh, whoops, I have 4 cards in hand.
Yeah, because I actually had this same conversation with a buddy of mine that was playing Black, and he was saying how he didn't like Isho, but honestly, like if you're running a deck that runs Isho, you could set up for the Isho play. Like if you're going into your next couple turns and
Mhm.
you have the option of playing Isho, on your 8 dawn turn, just swing more to face so that you can set it up for that turn where they have a big hand.
It could be opposite. You swing more to face, and they might use cards to discard to go down. Right.
Not if you swing like 5, or I would say like swing high, right?
How do you swing high?
7.
It costs 8.
No, I'm saying like set up the turn before, swing into face like 7 into face, and make it really hard for your opponent to pitch cards.
Yeah. No,
There's ways to plan for it.
Yeah, and the thing is, now people can plan for it. Where I'll give you a really easy example for the blue law that was the promo one. Essentially, if people don't know what the skill was, it was if your opponent has 6 or more life, you make them draw a life, right, on play. It's a 6 cost. And that card would end up being pretty bad, in my opinion. But it was definitely a shock most of the time when someone got that off on you. You're like, wait a minute. Oh, I didn't think you'd play that. Now I'm in a bad spot, right?
Nobody expects it.
Nobody expects it. I've never lost to someone who played that against me, but because I think there are better options. But it definitely is a surprise factor where you're expecting Isho now, right?
Yeah. But also the global -3 is really useful. It's a 9k body for 8, which is really good for black because they don't have any like 8 or 9 drops actually. So it fits that like little top end, but right before 10. And it's also a navy card. I just learned recently that you can't actually search the 10-drop Kuzan with brand new.
Yeah,
I was
because it's
shocked.
a former Navy.
Yeah, former Navy. I was like, wow. I thought there was a place for the 10-drop in the new decks, but maybe now that Isho is out and the 10-drop isn't searchable, then maybe that will be the new top end.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just drop the 10-drop. Like, you don't use it anymore. Like,
you think so?
A 10-drop is really committing. You have to build your deck around it, right? Because essentially, if you don't use it, which obviously uses your whole turn up, you literally don't do anything else that turn. It has to be extremely impactful, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's how I'd be feeling like when I play my 9-drop Mihawk and all I can target is like a Nami. Oh god, I just paid 9 for nothing.
At least it's 9, so if you like sack out and get like a 1-cost law,
you can still play like a law blocker.
Yeah, like it gives you one option. Imagine if it was a 10 cost and you literally could do nothing, right?
Yeah. To be fair, the 10-drop Kuzan is pretty understated. Also, they could have at least made it like
12k or something.
Yeah, 12 would have been.
I never had a scenario where like, oh, it's a 10k, it's because they usually are swinging huge anyway. All their guys are huge.
You will when you go like black against yellow, because their big mom 10-drop is 12k and your 10-drop is only 10k. I was like, why is yours bigger than mine? We played the same amount for it.
Like, good luck.
Yeah, I guess Big Mom's doesn't remove. It kind of does. Nah, yeah, I think you're right. I think maybe it's because while it's on the field, it has an effect. That's why. It's because it synergizes with the rest of your deck. Unfortunately, the rest of the deck doesn't really need it. I feel like it more synergizes with like Z.
Itself.
With Z. That's where it gets its impact at. But it's a little different.
Hey, I have a Z deck, man. I love that deck. When you get
is
10-drop, when you make it to 10-drop, it's freaking amazing. That deck is just insane.
The funny thing is too, when any black decks face each other, it's actually hilarious because you just see one side has all the 10-drops and one side has all the Borsalinos, and they're just kind of stuck in this match of, oops, I drew the Borsalinos. Sorry, dude. I guess I
right.
So
I would think that the person with the 10-drops would still win though. They just have bigger bodies.
Yeah, unfortunately, Borsalino is just that strong. Just doesn't care. But
sometimes I do hate that card though.
To transition to, I guess, a little into content creation. You're doing a bit of Patreon or quite a bit of Patreon. Could you tell us about what's on there, Clyde, or anything about your Patreon?
Yeah, so I've always been interested in doing content creation for this game. A lot of people even tell me too, like, oh, you should do some videos or something. And I tried a YouTube thing for a little bit, and it was pretty intensive in that, you have to edit, you have to do thumbnails, you have to come up with content, and find people to do content with. So I was like, okay, I tried it, wasn't really feeling it for how much time I was investing in it. And I decided to do Patreon instead because I love writing. Back when I did Clash Royale competitive, I wrote up articles too, and those did pretty well. So I was like, okay, let me try Patreon. And I know that Patreon is pretty popular in card games. I think the most popular one I know of right now is like Team Seafood Kings. I think they have like 250 Patreons or something. And I was like, okay, cool. So there's an audience for this. So I started my own Patreon, and it's like building up steam now that, you know, every time you top, people will be like, oh, how do you do this? How do you get better? Whatever. And I'm like, okay, I explained all my Patreon. But my content is like really catered to everybody that plays One Piece. Like if you're a beginner, I go over beginner topics. If you're advanced, I go over like advanced topics, deck profiles, tournament runs, and like I think some people requested me to like, kind of commentate over videos, which is something like I like to do too. So I'll start doing that as well. But yeah.
Sweet, that sounds great. Maybe
That's
I need
awesome,
you to comment over one of our videos, right?
Yeah, it's not just mine too. They'd be like, "Oh, can you commentate over this video or like this matchup?" Because I don't play. I don't have videos for everything. Obviously,
So
I don't want to play everything.
Is your Patreon more exclusive content, or is it more of a it's just catered to every single person who joins?
What do you mean by exclusive content?
Like, oh, I can't watch it on YouTube, but just behind a paywall.
Oh, for that I haven't decided yet because I haven't uploaded any video yet. I just got a new mic today, so I'm gonna start doing it. So the thing with uploading YouTube is I'm kind of like a perfectionist in that if I upload a video on YouTube, I don't want it to be just like, you know, a screen share of my Discord, like really messy looking, no thumbnail, no editing. I don't want to upload anything that's not perfect. But maybe I'll find some way to do it.
Yeah, man. I'm sure somebody out there would be down to collaborate with you and like make some videos. But I totally get you, man, on the YouTube thing. Like at first glance, you know, you get into it and it's kind of like, okay, how hard could it be? You put a YouTube video or a video on YouTube and then let people watch it. But there's so many levels to it, so many ways to make a good video, and you never really feel like it's completed.
Yeah.
So you just kind of just throw it up there and then pray that people watch it, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, I guess the one thing, it's kind of a strange thing. People go to make videos, like, I'm going to make videos, right? And what actually gets people is a lot, like, oh, I didn't make a thumbnail, but I want to upload this video right now. What do I do? Right? So throwing this out there, if anyone needs thumbnails made, I make them for $5 each. You know, that's actually super primo price. So hit me up. But with your Patreon, you know, you have patrons on there. I guess you don't have videos, which is just fine. Do you just discuss with people every topic, or do you just post something and people comment on it?
I post things and people comment on it. Some people DM me as well, like about content that they would like, and that's how I get my ideas as well. But most of it is me posting an article. They post in the comments. I answer them. Like I try to answer them right away. I was like debating on getting a Discord too, for like a Patreons only, but like managing a Discord is hard. Like you need mods or you need to build up. So like I was like, I really don't want to exert the effort for it. Maybe if I like decide that I have a big enough community where it would be valuable, I would do that as well. But I think running a Discord is a lot of extra effort that like I'm not ready yet. Maybe in the future.
I feel like, from my perspective, maybe you would want to be sort of like this is kind of a professional thing, right? You're more of a kind of, not a client, but let's say if I was to say, hey, I'm running an organization with a bunch of good players and these players will coach other players. Jackson is one of my people, and would you want to talk with him? And essentially, I just get you two together and you talk about the game, right?
Yeah.
I feel like you would be more interested in that rather than the whole BS of getting
the overhead and everything.
Yeah. So you need infrastructure. Like you're the talent, basically.
Yeah.
You need like a
exactly. Yeah.
You
I wouldn't be the
need some
CEO.
support.
I would be the talent. That's how I am like regular too. Like I don't like managing people. I just like people telling me what to do and I'll do it.
Okay. Maybe we should work together. I thought about doing something like that, right? Just not like coaching itself, but if I can get people together, right? Because that's essentially the disconnect. And there are people out there looking for coaching. And, you know, I went to John Ashby for coaching for Doflamingo, right? But if people are looking to get coaching on how to be good at the game, they might go to you, right? So
I've had people reach out for me for coaching. I think I thought it over. Coaching is probably something that I really rarely would ever
Yeah.
do, just because I don't want to devote like an hour of my
Yeah.
time to earn like a certain amount of money. Like I don't like thinking
Yeah.
about my time like that. I like, doing articles. I can spend 10
Oh,
minutes on it. Okay,
that
take it
works,
off, do
too.
10 or 10 minutes.
Well, sometimes the thing is, some people might consider coaching just a conversation, right?
Yeah.
They might to get together and just be like, "Hey, can I talk to you about this? Pick your brain," and it's just worth your time. Like, what? It's not really even an issue of money, or there's a bit of awkwardness there when it comes to that. But I've definitely known people who've coached Pokemon, and all they do is get in a channel and they just talk on Discord for an hour about this deck, that card, and they're not even like good players asking you, right? They're just like players that are maybe beginning, or even if they are good players, and maybe that's something you could do. But I think if you just want to do articles, that's good too. It's just, I think it involves more of a team rather than one person, because I think that's too hard. And even if you look at Ashby's, I don't know if you've ever seen his Patreon, he doesn't have like really anything on there because it's just hard. It's just work, right? It's better to sort of get the people to come in and then talk to them individually. And Will the Win Gaming's the same way. I think he's pretty knowledgeable, right? And really good with that, but he definitely doesn't want to do that work. I don't think Cross wants to do that work either. So maybe there's a space for, people.
Yeah, I think it's just up to player preference, because I love writing articles. I can write a million articles. Like before I even had to start it up, I had like a list in my phone of all the articles I want to write.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome, man. Well, that seems like your passion there. I'm actually curious on your opinion on this, because a lot of like good quote unquote players that like do YouTube or like articles, they're very sensitive on like the sort of information that they divulge to their audience. Do you feel like you're the same way? Like the articles that you create, like giving tips to newer players, do you feel like sometimes you're divulging like too much information and now you might have harder competition for these Luffy cards, or are you more like open to everybody?
No, that is something that me and my fiance talk about, because she like loves that I'm winning all this stuff, because it's paying off a mortgage or whatever. And she would say that like when people ask me for like free information about how to do that kind of stuff, she's like, "Why are you giving away your tips? Like like for free or whatever? Like you're just making your competition harder." And like I kind of felt the same way too, because like after you would top event, people would ask you this, and like it takes up a lot of your time. So not only like am I investing time, I'm also like making other people or the competition harder. So I guess the Patreon is a nice way to do that, because it's like, okay, I'm not just giving away tips for free. Like it makes me feel a bit better. In that, if this guy ends up beating me, it's okay. He deserved it. Like he actually subscribed to my comments or content. Yeah, so I don't feel as bad. But like other than that, like if random people ask me for questions, like it's hard for me to build up the time to explain it, because like I don't want to give them the wrong answer, so I want to take the time to type out to them. But it's just hard to keep up with all the people who are messaging you.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Yeah. That's
I would imagine somebody as popular as you are, you probably get tons of people just trying to get the juicy deets,
Yeah. And it would be like very specific scenario too. You'd be like, okay, I have this exact board. Like, what do I do here? I'm like, okay, now I have to think about your board too.
Oh God, that's a bit much, I think.
Yeah, that is a little bit much, because you can just give a basic generic answer, right? But like even going over that scenario, I think most players, if they're thinking and looking that critically at that board, they probably know what the right answer was. They just want you to confirm that you fucked up, right?
Yeah.
All right. So,
but I mean, to answer your question, like I am worried about making my competition harder, but like that just means I need to get better. So I mean, I am like kind of divulging, like I'm not hiding anything in my Patreon. Like I try to be as in depth as possible. And if it ends up like that person ends up beating me, then like all the power to them, like, or all the power to me, because like I have knowledge about the game, and like that was something will stick.
Exactly, and you should take pride in that, right? That somebody that you were training actually did well in an event.
Yeah, I mean, it is good to win, but it's good to I want to say this too. It's okay to lose to a good player, right? And so I
never feel guilt.
I feel weird. I feel weird if I go really late in a round. I won against a bad player. If it's like really late in a round, like I'm like, oh, how did this get this? If it's, I'm not saying every player I played late is bad, but it can happen, right? Or they made a mistake. And there's not actually a problem. Will the Win Gaming has a theory about this too. He wants to get everyone really good at the game, right? That's his goal. Make sure just everyone's really good.
Like just get the information out
yeah,
there.
and there's not really a thing, but there is a context there. What you're saying, Jackson, and I think that's important. If you're playing a game competitively, and it's like this in poker, right? You want the biggest advantage for yourself, and you want everyone else to be down below, right? And whatever you can do. And so that's why in poker, they will never tell you made the right call. They might say that, but it might be another game of poker. Oh, dude, that was such a good call. I can't believe you did that. Even though, like, I should have lost that 9 out of 10 times. I just got lucky that one time. I'm going to make that call again in the future and mess up, right? And it's going to cost me in the long run. If that makes sense. It's kind of a funny thing.
No, that totally makes sense. And I mean, that's the interesting thing about the competitive scene, right? Because there's a lot of nice people in this game, but at the end of the day, we're also playing in a highly competitive environment where everybody's trying to win, these cards worth of thousands of dollars.
I think we're playing not to lose. That's how I'm trying to do sometimes. I hate losing. It doesn't feel good. That's all.
No, nobody likes to lose, but the way I sleep at night is as long as I've done my best and I didn't like misplay, that actually is what kills me the most. Like if I make a really bad misplay, win or lose, it's gonna kill me. Like I won't be able to sleep that night.
Yeah, I've been losing some sleep too. So actually, let's jump into sleepless nights and all that. I get Jackson. Congratulations again on the recent Saturday. I was in that same tournament, right?
Yeah, congrats, my man.
I guess we were both X and 1 all the way up to the last round, somehow avoiding each other. You avoided the Doflamingo matchup, which, I mean, you probably figured it out. I've lost to really good Zoros before, but most of the time I think I have an advantage.
I do think it's like kind of fair towards Dofi if you don't know or you don't experience the matchup.
If I go first, it's like,
if you go first,
70-30. If you go first, it's like 50-50.
My Doflamingo wins are like my most proud wins because like I play like really my hardest in my Doflamingo wins. Like I figure out
you actually have to as Zoro. You have to play super tight.
I think it comes down to die roll, honestly. Like if Zoro gets the coin flip, man,
have you guys? I'm live streaming these games, and I've actually when the die roll just popped off, like from the die roll. I have this guy face all the time. I faced him 3 times now online, like at different treasure cups. And now we're both playing Doflamingo, and I won the die roll, and I just, oh god, yes, it's so.
Loki, that's gonna be every time I flip a coin.
So you guys should just start doing pop offs then. Then your opponent might get because your opponent might be like, oh damn, oh shoot.
You stressing out your opponent?
Yeah, I'm not trying to, but it literally is. It literally is. I need to win this dice roll.
I don't know about you guys, but this was my first ever online event, and I think.
Really?
Yeah, I was actually X and O going into the 7th round, and then I lost my 7th and my 9th round.
Wow!
But I was just really like, I had some serious fatigue. Like after round 6 going into 7, I don't know what it is. I was just like so tired. I was making like bad plays. So I'm wondering actually, how do you guys personally handle like fatigue playing in these long events?
It's definitely a stamina thing, and you have to build up. My girlfriend told me the same thing when she entered her first tournament. It's like, I don't know how you do this like every week. Like I'm tired of like round 4. So like in my first couple tournaments, I was very fatigued after a couple rounds, but then you get used to it. Like I take naps in between rounds if my round finishes early enough now, or I go for walks or something. But yeah, I try to like make sure I don't stay at my desk every round. Like I try to get up after every round.
I'm live streaming, so that's really hard. I talk to people between. I'm actually more tired at the beginning of my rounds.
Like you're just a robot.
And then I energize myself up later, and it gets really. I actually get more, a little more energy later, especially after I eat a snack.
I think you have a point there. I feel like the more you win, right, you get the adrenaline pumping. You get more like you're in the zone.
But you were winning, and you're like, oh well, I guess I'll just stop using my brain.
Yeah, maybe it had something to do with the fact that I only had like 3 hours of sleep the night before, and it was also my first online event, and I was playing a big brain deck.
Why did you only get 3 hours of sleep?
I don't know, man. Too excited.
I went to poker too that night before, and I mean, I those nights I try to leave at like 1 a.m. at the very latest. And so
1 a.m.
Yeah, 1 a.m. my time.
Late already.
Yeah, but like
I go to bed at like
I'm
9 p.m.
I'm a
if I
weird
can help it.
sleeper. 1 p.m. and then 1 a.m. and then like I go to bed at like and then I wake up at like 6 or 7.
Maybe I'm just old, you guys. I'm just showing my age
Possibly,
here.
yeah. And then
Go to
we have Jackson's dog over here,
10 o'clock.
just having a good old
Yeah.
time.
You have the
If you
cutest dog,
you need
man.
a pet
Is
of
that
H,
a
it's fine.
husky?
It's a Samoyed,
Ah, it's so cute.
but they're basically like cousins. Huskies.
The dog come out when you're playing games in like a big tournament.
Yeah.
There's been a
I
lot of
used to have a bed over here, so she would lie down, and then my camera would be facing down, so then my opponents would see my dog like sleeping
Ooh, they
there or
get
something.
distracted.
Yeah, maybe that works too. Maybe that's what happens. She gets distracted.
one of my
Write it
losses.
down,
This guy had 2 dogs, and they were straight up fighting, dude. Like mouse, like like.
Oh wow, that's like super distracting.
Yeah,
I
dude.
remember playing this online at the online event. I was playing this dude, like his quality was so bad. I was just looking at blobs the whole time. I'm like, bro.
Sometimes it's
gotta do
Discord.
something about
sometimes
this
it's Discord.
quality.
Sometimes it's them, right? And I've had that before, and I've like lost a game, and I wouldn't blame that, but it definitely was a factor. So, but sometimes it is just Discord. But I'm glad you did well. At least Saucy in your first one. You know, we're both 1 win. I was 1 slight mistake away from top 80,
so.
but
I'm telling you, yeah.
yeah, essentially, and I'll go over it right now exactly what happened if I could. Okay, I'm in my last round. I thought there'd be one more round after this, but there wasn't. But I'm against Law. I actually get a nut opening. I get a Jimbei on the first Doflamingo, right? And then I place down another Jim. I have another Jimbei in hand for later, right? So I'm able to like fight back with my field, placing Kumas down, getting Pacifistas, getting Jimbeis, just doing everything just what I needed to do. But on the last turn, basically what happened is I should have took the first damage, right? But even after that fact of me taking that first, not taking the first damage, I over countered. Essentially, I did 5k counter for 1 attack, and I realized he was just going for game. But even with me realizing he was just going for game, he swung 7k with his leader, and I had a 2k and a 1k in hand. Those were my last 2 cards. If I discard both of those, I have none, and he just kills my attackers. But I think I still win with everything else I have on board. Okay, and that was kind of my issue there, is that I didn't do that. I took the damage, and it was no counter in hand, and I thought he would swing 7 and 9, but he swung 8 and 8, right? And so I didn't have enough counter, and I lost from that
number too.
So it was the perfect amount to kill me, and I was thinking to myself, why didn't I just counter out of the 7k? I would have been.
I feel you, man.
Yeah, because
it always feels bad.
Because his hand was pretty limited, and yeah.
Yeah, dude. My last run, I played against the same black player that you beat. And I just didn't see any 9 drops. And against black, you have to see 9 drop or you just lose. And that's literally what happened. I was like up 3 live. I just couldn't get to my top end. And then he set up like double Borsalino, a Sakazuki, and like I think like 4 cost Kuzan. And I'm like, wow.
Mick Snipe also plays that deck really well. Against me, he made actually a whole bunch of blunders. But
did he know?
Yeah, but him losing the die roll was the biggest one.
He told me he went first against you, right?
I won the die roll, yeah. So
you went second against him?
Yes, I chose to go second against him. It's just I need to
try that.
That's my adaptation against black, because they want to go second, and if I can make their deck less consistent by drawing 1 less card and not taking that first damage right away, I make their deck less consistent. And it's not.
What are your thoughts on this, Jackson? What would Jackson do?
Black versus blue. You're blue.
I think you always make black decks go second. Even if your curve is like great on going first, like black is just so much stronger going second than first that I always make them go second no matter what deck I'm playing.
You make
fair point.
You make deck black.
I'm sorry, I make myself go first.
No.
Make myself go second.
If you're playing black, you do not want black going second. That's
exactly.
Even if you're playing Zoro, like a super aggro deck, you would still go second.
No, because their evens curves is so good.
Going second in this game is not bad. It's just how good is the other deck going first. That is really the issue. I used to in set 1 it was different. I think it was 100% different, right? But set 2 it came out. It actually makes a lot of sense for decks to go second. I was actually experimenting every time I won the dice roll, I would choose to go second against Zoro, against Whitebeard, and it worked out quite well. But then I realized, oh, wait a minute, I'll just go first against this. This is actually just better. Even
better,
including Whitebeard. And that sounds really strange. People might think, why would you want Whitebeard to go second? Like that, they do so well. They get their draw off later. They get the late life later. I'm like, Ace on the 7 Dawn turn, followed by a Whitebeard, is absolutely cracked. Like
you don't want to let them go first. Terrible.
Yeah,
it's
but the thing
really
is,
hard.
some Whitebeards don't know that. They don't know how cracked that is. So you might face a not experienced player thinking second's just better, right? So
True. I think Strawbeard wants to go first all the time, right? Because their curve is it like perfect going second or first?
It's perfect either way. Like honestly, they're never mad going first or second. It's just my opponent is Doflamingo's better going first, so I'll go first, right? It's more preventing me at that point from letting me choose.
You guys think we're gonna see a lot of Whitebeard in Ohio? This is
probably not. I feel like Moby Dick was what was making Whitebeard so strong. Like I remember the beginning of OP2 format where Strawbeard was winning without it. I think it's just people not knowing how to play against the deck. But I don't think Strawbeard is that strong with Moby Dick banned. Until set 3.
I agree.
I feel that it did good before, so people will still play it, especially if they won with it before, right? They might have to adjust their deck quite a bit, but let me think here. When it comes to that, no, there's a lot of weird matchups, especially like Kid walking around. Kid just destroys that unless they have a blocker, right? If they don't have Marcos in the deck, because I don't know if you get a lot of film kids going around, right? And even Wall Kid is not now a thing again. And so Wall Kid and that, they just don't even place a single card. They just swing with their leader 100 times a Whitebeard, and then if they don't have a Marco, they just lose. So
that makes sense.
I can see that.
Dude, I don't know what it is, but for some reason, I don't know about you guys. I played so many green decks on Saturday. I think I played like 4 green decks.
2.
Is that a thing? Like we're gonna be
coming
doing
back
green now?
I feel like I played against more green decks than red decks in the last couple of tournaments I went against. So everybody's on the green train.
How's the Zoro v Green matchup? Is that
terrible.
a good?
It's probably the worst one. That's why I changed my build in order to have a better matchup against green. But the green, I think green is probably the worst matchup for Zoro.
Yep.
Wow.
That's why people were running green at the beginning, because Zoro was going to be rampant, right?
Yeah. It's also like, I mean, it's not unwinnable for me, but it's out of my hands. Like I need to see Whitebeard. I'm not playing against green, and like that's out of my control. I can't search it. I just have to hope I draw, and like I don't want to play a game where I just have to rely on drawing better to win.
True. That's not really like a reliable game plan.
Yeah.
Fortunately, next set Zoro is gonna be even better than what it is now. So
yeah,
I don't know how green is gonna be without much support coming out.
Yeah, I think every deck besides green gets better. Actually, black gets a lot of new tools. Red.
I mean, you might
yellow.
see
maybe not purple.
There might be some weird meta where somebody's walking around with Captain Kuro, and they're just placing these wombo combo things going on. The East Blue cards, right? The guy that kills two 4 costs. That's kind of nuts, actually. Actually, that doesn't do too well against Zoro.
Well, they got Django. I think that's the best card in the deck. The restander, like restand your leader, swing again.
You do that, right? I'm thinking of Django with the double attacker.
It only works with the East Blue guy, I think.
Yeah.
Are you thinking about Krieg?
Yeah, Krieg. Yep.
Oh, Krieg. Yeah, that card is annoying.
That's what it is. Like you put 1 Dawn on Krieg, he becomes an 8K with double attack, and then you just Django it up. 2 swings with AK, and then that's double. That's kind of gross, right?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of glad that green isn't really like gonna be that big next set, because Krieg literally like counters Dofi like super hard.
Hits it pretty hard, especially that when I see that Krieg card, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't do anything.
Yeah, just
All my cards are 4 cost.
2 free kills,
Yeah.
and then they have a double attacker body.
You know, people at your locals are like, "Oh, is Saucy coming? Oh, I'm definitely playing green because Saucy's coming." Right?
Dude, that's what happens. So I'm like, I don't even understand.
I
like,
mean, I guess you can't exactly play around Jackson. He's just gonna play the
I
best
bet
thing
Jackson
ever.
gets this all the time. Like, oh my god, Jackson's coming. All right, guys, let's. What counter's law?
I mean, he has to go there. The problem is
Let's play
traffic,
green.
right?
Yeah,
But-
one thing that I had to go there first. 2 things like I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm
Sure.
really like people always say like, "Oh man, you're really good at green. You're really good at red." I was like, "No, I'm not good at color. It's just you have to be good in general at the game." Like some people are like really good at one deck. That's cool, but like
Mhm.
if black becomes the best deck, I'm gonna try to be really good at black too.
Got it.
That's true.
I tried to switch to Zoro, but I had no control of my games. I think it definitely was a build thing, and I made any excuse to play blue, and then that's what I did.
And,
I think
it
though,
worked out for you.
once you understand like the fundamentals of the game and you actually get skilled at the game, you can play any deck. I mean, you're
Yeah.
gonna need to like
Yeah.
learn a different game plan, but
Mhm.
once you figure that out, all these skills that you have are translatable.
What-
So
What Jackson needs is like a jar of money, and when people raise enough money, he'll play a fun deck at a regional. Okay.
I'd be down for that because like I would love an excuse to play a different deck.
Yeah, and top with it.
Um,
Oh, I'm still gonna
yeah.
top with Magellan. No big issue. You know, I'll do the best it can do. I might go X1, but that's
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know that would give me a reason because like otherwise I'm like, why didn't I just play the best deck, man? I could have missed out on these cards. But if it's like, oh, people are like telling me to do it, and I'm getting like all these kind of impressions or something, I was like, cool, that's a good reason to potentially bomb out.
somebody bribe you with money, like,
Yeah.
hey, if you
the
win
thing is. The
with
thing
this
is,
Blurple Croc deck, I'll give you 10K.
what
or
if there
whatever.
was like a bounty on it, right? Like, hey, first person to top with Arlong. Okay, top with Arlong, $1,000. All of a sudden, you're gonna be seeing all these Arlongs trying to play, right?
I
At,
would
like,
love to do that. That's
Right?
actually a pretty fun idea. I feel like Digimon had that where if you
Mhm.
topped without one of these meta cards, then you would get extra prizing or something.
Mhm.
And I think somebody actually wanted
The
like that. So I was like,
the
that's
thing
a
is,
pretty cool idea.
By doing that, it would kind of make it also the meta. It's like that in Smash Brothers Melee, right? They're like, oh, what's good in the meta tier? And it basically, if a player is just really good in playing that character at the time, all of a sudden that's higher on the tier, right? Or even like a top tier character. And even like 5 years ago, oh, Yoshi's terrible, right? But now Yoshi's super good because people are playing him now because this one pro. So yeah, that's what we need.
Well, that's the thing about
Mhm.
a game that is like very much skill based. It's like whatever the representation is, right? Like you might have a format where it's like all law decks, and it's not to say law is the best deck. It might be something that widely received by people as the best deck, but it's not necessarily the best deck. There's like other options for it. So I think that's a common pitfall like people fall into is that they just follow whatever deck is like winning, like whatever the flavor of the month is, when it's not necessarily going to be the ideal deck to play in that particular environment.
Yeah. So Saucy, what have you been doing on your YouTube channel lately as well?
Recently I've kind of like taken a week off from my YouTube because I felt like, as you know, I do like a lot of vlog style. So anytime I go to a tournament, I like try to record my games. But I notice every time I record a game, I'm never playing as well as I could be when I'm not.
Really?
Like it makes me play worse. Yeah, because you're worrying about your setup, making sure everything is right, and then like figuring out, what they're saying. Like, I don't know. I just play worse when the camera's up. So I've been kind of taking a break on that and focusing more on like, getting better at the game.
Okay.
Yeah, just playing a lot of locals and getting ready for the pre-release. Is anybody I don't know if you are, Jackson, because you're gonna be in Ohio. Are you playing in the pre-release over there at all on Friday or?
No, I was trying to look for some, and I have some friends who are like driving 45 minutes away from their hotel to get some. But I land at weird times. I think I land at like 7:30, and that's too late for a pre-release. Some of my friends are landing earlier and then playing a pre-release, but I really wanted to because I hate that missing out on pre-release.
I know, dude. I actually like got lucky. There was a tournament at 8:30 in
Oh, wow.
Ohio. I think we might be arriving in the same flight, and I got into that one. So I'm gonna try to drive out there and see if I can play on the pre-release.
You guys are so degenerate with this. This is so great. So
What?
Pre-release is fun.
I know
I like pre-release.
it's just
It's fun,
funny.
actually.
I know people at my locals were going really hard. The previous one, it was like it got to the point where it was a little crazy. But
Oh, yeah?
people will do things like they'll sign up their girlfriend who's never played before, and they'll show up just to get like the packs, and it's like, oh,
I'm not gonna lie, that was me. But my girl actually did show up,
okay. And did she
and
play?
she does kind of play One Piece,
Mhm.
so I didn't feel that bad.
It's definitely a weird thing. Not saying it's a bad thing. It's just part of the rules. But
Yeah. Well, is your girl going to Ohio with you?
No, she is on vacation now, so it's just gonna be me going by myself. But my girl actually plays. She actually likes playing the game, and she plays
Yeah.
online too. So I don't feel bad about dragging her to these pre-releases
nice.
because she actually likes
Right
playing.
on.
And then I played against her in some tournaments too, so it's
You
kind of
played
funny when we
against-
play against each other.
Have you in big tournaments, right? Like all these online events, is there someone you end up seeing all the time, like actually, or seeing and playing against regularly?
Yeah. So there's one guy. His Discord name is Demon. I play him a lot in Digimon and in One Piece. It's funny because we saw each other a lot in Digimon, and we play against each other, and then every time we see each other in One Piece now, it's like, wow, we always go against each other. So I feel like for every person, there's always this one guy you always play against a lot.
You have a rival, huh?
Yeah.
How does Demon do usually in like these big events? You both like top usually, and you guys will see each other.
Yeah, he usually tops. We usually see each other like in mid round when we're like X1 or something. But he usually tops pretty well too. So that's probably explains why like we always see each other. We always have similar records. And actually last week I went against somebody that I played all the way back in the deck limited battle, and then he remembered me and reminded me, and I was like, oh, we did play because I remember like your name and everything. So it's cool like to see.
Yeah.
You know, we're good.
You know, people get used to
Pretty wild.
one thing in this game too. It's kind of big compared to any other thing is arm tattoos. Okay, so when you're playing webcams, people are like, "Oh, dude, I know that arm tattoo."
I get that.
Or a playmat or something.
Yeah.
That is
Another
funny,
thing
though.
is too. There's a lot of people on webcam, especially that play casually on the main Discord, right? But there is so many people that smoke, like a smoking while playing, right? There's this guy
Like online?
named yes,
Yeah, like
there's this-
vaping.
vaping or like
Ah.
straight. There's this guy that plays casual games every day. Okay,
Mhm,
I think his name is You Like D's. Okay,
mhm.
and he straight up like he's playing Doflamingo Law, and he has like a joint rolled up in his finger here, and it's just smoking while he's like, okay, I'm gonna reset Dawn here. Do this, okay? I'm gonna attack with that. It's just burning like some incense going on.
I am not a functional drug addict, so I don't think that is the play for me. But
Yeah.
I definitely I think I saw it on one of your streams where this dude was just like, yeah, playing the game and smoking at the same time.
Really? Yeah. It's a common thing. You know, I don't smoke at all, right? And I definitely want to be like completely sober when it comes to playing One Piece competitively, right? But it's a casual
Yeah.
aspect to it where you can see people totally doing that. And I know people at my locals, they have to go out every single break to go smoke. Like I'm like,
And
oh, I'm
smoke.
against this person. Oh, he's outside.
Yeah, I know. I know one guy like that in my locals. But for me, like when I play high, I go so slow. Like my turns be
Mhm.
taking like 5
Yeah.
minutes when at 3 dawn or something. Like, bro,
Mm.
you need to hurry up. Yeah, that is not the way to go though.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I mean, there's some people I know that play fast as heck and do that, but I don't know. Any comments, Jackson, about that?
About like playing fast and slow,
No. We'll go with that. We can go with that
or
too.
about like smokers.
Smokers, yeah, smokers, yeah.
I don't think I've ever played one. I played against a bunch of people who were drinking when we were playing.
Mhm.
Dang, that's next level.
Yeah.
I think there should be a drinking game involved with. I don't drink very much, but with Battle Buddy, Buddy Battle. Okay.
Buddy battle?
Yeah. So like things like taking a damage, you know, or
You gotta drink one. Somebody's gonna come up with it.
Yeah,
If
and you're
there's a
playing
need for
yellow.
something, somebody's gonna make
Yeah.
it.
You're playing
I
double
know there
yellow
were-
and you're shaking too many drinks.
I know you guys are a fan of board games. There's this one board game called the Dragon's Inn or something like that. But basically, it's like it's a drinking game, and like you pick your fantasy character, and then you guys are all like playing cards to try to get the other one drunk, and then when the other one is drunk, basically they lose the game. Have you guys heard of that?
No, but I'm about to look it up.
Maybe this is just me. Maybe it's just me, but I think it's called like Dragon Inn. I'm gonna have to look that up. But there is no format for that game with actual alcohol, but I could imagine that would be a good one to do it for.
Yeah, I'm just thinking how to incorporate it in One Piece, but maybe that's a dumb idea. Just maybe drinking in One Piece should be separate. So
It would definitely make people like take riskier plays, I would think.
you think so? Yeah, if you
They're all
lose, you have to finish your drink or something.
Oh yeah, Red Dragon Inn, that was the game. Oh yeah, if you lose people
Yeah.
get so drunk. Get messed up, man. Just
Yeah,
take it easy. Maybe start with like some beer or something.
possibly. I don't know. I'm sure our audience might tell us, but Saucy, I know you're starting to get some comments and things like that. You're getting like you might be actually almost be needing subscribers soon on my YouTube. But I wanted to talk about something that's really interesting. I had a comment, and I'm okay with negative comments, guys. Like, but I had a negative comment. I never had a negative comment yet, so that's why I even want to bring it up. Okay, and it actually has to do with on topic a little bit with how fast people play. And I'm actually pretty condescending to slow players, right? Generally, the main reason because it ruins a lot of the fun, especially if it's a casual game or like a tournament, right? It doesn't affect me as much anymore, right?
Yeah.
But I've definitely almost like quit the game because someone took too long on a turn, which it shouldn't take that long, right? I felt that a little bit last week with the law player because time was going by really slow. He would activate Bonnie and think for like over 2 minutes on Bonnie skill, and I'd be like, okay, play a little bit faster. So
Okay.
but no, this comment I'll put it here in the video too. The guy deleted it though, which is really interesting, right? Because I posted it on Cross's Discord. Because I'm like, oh, the only reason I'm laughing about it, right? And it's this middle section. You'll see this later, right? Basically saying people's brains work differently, bud. And I have a doctorate's degree from one of the best universities in the country. And throughout my schooling, I've noticed that many of the highest achieving students there were the last ones to submit their tests, long after the vast majority of the players already left. So I guess what he's trying to say is players that usually take their time usually end up, might be thinking level-headedly. But my consensus is usually just get a little more experience playing the game, right?
They're slow playing.
Playing your deck, right? I don't think anyone slow plays on purpose that I've faced ever, but I've definitely taken too long on a turn where, this is my last turn anyway, and I need to really think about it. I'm not going into time or anything, but like all of a sudden my basic arithmetic of 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 is really hard. And because this is like I need to win the game, and I think I have a secured win if I do this attack sequence, right? Regardless of what cards they have in their hand.
I think generally speaking, like the root of it for those players that take forever is one of two things. Either one, they don't know the right play for that particular moment, or they're a player that plays the game like chess, where they're like, okay, so I go with this route. What's gonna be their reaction to that route on their following turn? Okay, so that's the reaction. Next route, we're gonna go over this, and they just like kind of like go over every line of play in their head. I do know like a player in my locals. He's a green player, and he's like amazing at the game. He's really good with green, but his turns take a long time, and it's because he does go through every line of play, in his head. And with law, I'm not shocked that he would take that long. I think in like pivotal turns, it's okay for you to like take a longer amount of time to figure out what the right move is, time depending. But there's certain turns obviously where it's like just like, okay, so you have one Dawn. You have your leader, you can't attack with your leader, 5 cards in hand. What is the play here? Like what is the card to play? What are your thoughts on this, Jackson?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of wanted like I try to play it really fast, just because in the early game it doesn't matter that much. Like I'm thinking about like, is this play gonna net me some kind of like down advantage or that kind of thing? It's only like when it's the last turn or the last 2 turns where I'm like, okay, that's when I start thinking like chess. Like, okay, if I do this, how do I win next turn? That kind of thing. I actually had the moment this past weekend when I went against somebody, and we were like 20 minutes in, and the game was definitely gonna end within the 1 or 2 turns. And this is like the longest I ever took on a turn. I think I took like 2 or 3 minutes on a turn. And the guy actually mentioned to me, he's like, gotta make a move sometime. And I was like, okay, yeah, sorry. And like I tried to take like another 30 seconds to make my play, and then I ended up winning. And after the game, I was like, dude, I don't know why that took me so long, but I'm so sorry. And he's like, no, it's fine. I just tried to do that just to try to rush people, is whatever. And I was like, okay, that's cool, because I did take up a long time. Like I did feel really bad, but it was like I went through like so many different lines.
Well, there are some times where you might be in the middle of a game and you think this could go a lot more turns if potentially, right? But yeah, there's a mix of it. You're right.
Yeah.
I think everyone's definitely been on the side of taking too long on a turn at one point, right? But definitely,
For sure.
especially in a situation where you don't really know what your opponent could have, or maybe you have an experience against that deck, or even worse, a mirror match, right? Actually, that may be easier. You might actually know what your opponent's doing at that point.
Yeah,
But-
mine actually takes the longest against like specific matchups. Like for example, black. If they're
Mhm.
representing like two Dawn, for example, we all know it's gonna be a shockwave, but like I'm spending pretty much the whole turn trying to figure out like how to play around that card,
Mhm.
So
Well,
it does take a lot of thought and
it's
like try to
also
figure out what to do.
even worse that colors that play cards like Shockwave and Jet Pistol, there's another layer of life, right? And it's like, oh, dude, I should have attacked with my lower cost character first, because they would have just KO'd that, right?
Yeah.
From life. Or even green, I have to think, I'm just going to attack with Mihawk first, because I don't want him to pump Gibson that. Right? Just
You talking about the forecast?
Out of life, anything.
Out of life, it rests anything.
And you're saying out of life.
I had a
okay,
game. I had a game this weekend. He pumped Gibson me out of life, and it was the last attack, right? It would have. I won the game, right? Based on what I had to do. But he pumped Gibson my Mihawk, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, I had two decisions: either stall one turn or put 6 Dawn on my Perona, and then if it doesn't go through, I lose. He had 3 Dawn up and 2 cards in hand, but he was just bluffing with Dawn.
You just went for it?
Yeah, I had to. There was like, I lose next turn. Yeah, I had to think about it for like 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah, when you don't have a choice, you don't have a choice.
And he's just sitting there like bluffing 2 cards in hand, 3 Dawn up. Like, there's no way you'd be that dumb to leave Dawn up for no reason, right? So
actually, I here's the tip that I found works. And I did this over the weekend actually. Like I'll have a hand where I have like a bunch of 1K counters and like 2K counters, and I have extra Dawn. I'll literally like, if I want my opponent to go wide on me, I'll just leave 2 Dawn up and then pass my turn. And then people just assume you have Dawn open that you have the event. So if you have like a 4K event like Love Love Mellow, people tend to not want to swing at you for like big damage, you know what I mean? They're gonna go like wide, or they go like really big and go like 9K, but most people will just go like 5. So it does work out, if you do represent that sometimes.
I think a bluffing Dawn, or even it just puts your opponent in a hard spot. Especially with blue, it's not so hard, but green and black, that's extremely difficult to play against.
Because they're a lot more interactive.
Yeah. Especially green, right? Because you have no idea what they could potentially have. Usually, actually, you have an idea, but you're screwed no matter what. But if they bluff it and you end up swinging like big, and they just take it, and you're like, oh, they didn't have it. So now I end up having a method. If I know they don't have one, like they didn't search out a Pump Gibson, right? If I know, I just swing 7, and then I'll just have to put them on there, right? Do my normal thing: swing 7, swing 5, swing 6. Yeah, essentially, I think that's a better way to think about it, especially if you're in the middle. But unless you're at the end game scenario and you're like, I can definitely win even if they have it, right? But basically, I had to put my opponent on. I had to attack with it, but he just sits there with 2 cards in hand, and I swing AK Peroni. He goes, okay, I had nothing. They were both no counter. So
mean, that's such a big part of this game, right? Because it's a card game,
I
so
could've
there's
easily
always
lost
an
there.
element of luck involved. There, you will have even Jackson has hands where it's like literally unplayable, and you just have to like fake it, right? Fake it to make it. And we're put in these situations where we have like no business winning the game, but I think that really is a huge part of like the skill portion of the game, like being able to play through these rough hands.
Yeah,
Uh,
you just have to
and
play their outs. Like one time, I went against a guy who had like 7 cards in hand, and my only way of winning was like an AK attack. I was like, all right, I just gotta hope you don't have it, and if you don't have it, then I lose because I'm not winning next turn anyway. Yeah, you have to play.
Right.
You can't play not to lose. You have to play to win.
Exactly. And I think that's such a good point because so many people will like be in those situations where the odds are stacked against them. And instead of like pushing through, they either just like play like like they're not gonna die, knowing that they're gonna die next turn to just
Yeah.
continue to play their cards and pass turn, or they just give up, right? Some people will just straight up like, oh, there's no way I'm gonna win this. I'm just gonna scoop or whatever. I'm just like, just go for it.
Yeah.
You
I
just
mean,
What
have
do you
to
have to lose?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, and
Like your opponent could misplay. You never know.
your opponent will misplay.
Exactly.
Trust me. How many times have you misplayed before, right? And you've learned from it, and so your opponent
All
will.
the time.
I've had an opponent. I've had 2 Dawn open in a turn, right? I was bluffing a love mellow, and he had to go for game, and he just scooped because he thought I had a love mellow, and I didn't have one. I'm like, okay, well, all right. Like,
You just ran away with the game, man.
yeah, I mean, yeah, that stuff will happen. So yeah, it's definitely the art. I wouldn't call it the art of bluffing. Maybe that's a good term for it, for like an article, Jackson, right? If you were an article,
Maybe. There's
of,
definitely like non-game things that I want to write about, like luck and like bluffing, all that kind of stuff.
I think a big one too. This is a little tip I always like to provide. You probably heard it like in every podcast. Every time I take a damage, I look at that damage, right? I look at it for a second. Doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if I don't run triggers. I go, I want to activate the trigger, right? Because that happens to a lot of opponents. A high level player might actually read that as me being kind of novice, and they might actually know what's in my hand. But a really bad player might do the same thing. So
actually, if you did that against me, I would be like, this guy's full of shit. Because
yeah, of course,
what you would do actually, what I would do. Because I'm a liar. I'm a Scorpio. I'm a good liar. I'll like look at the life and I'll just like have it sideways on my table. Just look at it, think about it, and then I'll just put it in my hand afterwards.
Yeah.
And then people will be like, oh, yeah.
You don't have
to
say.
Same idea. But...
You don't have to say, but I make it obviously audible, right? So there's no way they missed that I chose not to activate the trigger, right? And I mean, I've had players do that to me, but they're not faking it. They actually went... Oh, like it's a new player. They're like, no, I'm not going to activate it because there's nothing to activate it on. And I'm thinking the whole time he has a Pump Gibson in his hand. I'm like, oh shit, this sucks. But it was just like a Paradise Tatsuki. And I'm like, oh, okay, that wasn't so bad.
Was a terrible read.
But I had to play around it. Like he had a Pump Gibson for the whole game.
No shit, this guy has a 4K counter in hand. Right? No, I feel you.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that part of the game is the most fun for me now that I've kind of like, I have a better understanding of like the cards and like how to play it well. It's like the part that I get the most entertainment out of is just the player interaction part where you're like reading your opponent and like figuring out what's in their hand and like looking at signs and stuff. It's so satisfying to pick something up knowing that that was you. Like, okay, that was me. Like I used my intellect to figure out my opponent, what they have in their hand.
Yeah, that's why I like in-person events so much. I agree. Like I'll try to go as many as I can, just because the player interaction, even after the game, talking to them, or like having a crowd watching your game. I think that's so cool. After you win, like everybody just like oohing.
I know, dude. It's so hype, but do you get nervous still to this day? Like when you have people like watching you, all these people are like eyes on you, like watching, what you're gonna do next.
I love it. I'm like, all right, guys, watch this play or something. I love it.
If you're an organizer out there for online, I would really highly suggest this is have a stream where you're watching everybody else's stream, right? Because there's going to be people like me and like you guys. I don't know if you're doing that in the future, Jackson, but I know Saucy might do that. Live stream his games, right? Essentially,
the cards.
it's just kind of like extra content. So it's kind of like you're there at the table. And so the people that weren't there to make it the event, at least they can watch it in a way, and not just one game in particular, right? Because
I would love to stream an offline event, but it's so hard with those
Impossible.
tables that they have. It'd be like
it's not possible. Even organizers can't go in and pay for internet there and do all this and even have a bad connection. It's more of a recording and then they post it later.
yeah.
That is like literally best case scenario, unless it's a local shop. And then a local
Right.
shop can do crazy stuff. But then the thing is, it's just a local game store playing, and it's not high viewership.
Yeah, it's not like a huge event.
I-
It'd be cool to have some like
Mhm.
video sunglasses and just like play the game normally and be recording.
I find most
Yeah.
players that look at content are mostly looking for advice, right? And how to play the games, not just the pure entertainment of the games. And most of my viewers, and they comment to me, they're like, oh, I watch all your games. I'm trying to learn how to play Doflamingo and be really good with it, right? And this is kind of the outlet so they can do all that all at once. Because I had a problem. I couldn't find good player Doflamingos before I started doing content. So I couldn't see exactly how they played, right? And
Yeah.
maybe that's something that's why I do VOD reviews of my own games, because people will do that. But unfortunately, I only play Doflamingo. I don't play other crazy decks, and maybe I should play more against high level players.
If Clyde put up like a law video with commentary, I'm sure people would kill to watch that video, bro.
Yeah, no, any kind of content is good. Like, I don't even play Doflamingo, and I don't plan to, but I watch all of your videos just because, like, I'm probably one of the biggest consumer of any One Piece content. I probably watch every video that anybody ever posts, or like any stream or whatever, just because that's how I practice. I don't go to locals, I don't play tests, I just watch people's videos. And like, yeah, so like having every kind of like unique deck video, because like I'm probably never gonna play Garp, but I want to see what Garp does. So I hope somebody posts a Garp video so I can watch it.
So you
and
know
that kind
how
of
it
thing.
plays.
There's a Garp
Interesting.
YouTuber, Gaming Loft, right? I don't know if you've seen that guy.
I think so. He's top 32 at Peoria, right?
He did not. No.
Okay,
no.
never
This guy, I think he advertises himself as a bad One Piece player trying to get better. I think he owns a shop. He's a really awesome guy, right? I think he does content with Ashby, right?
Oh yeah,
I think it's Nightwing Gaming. Actually, I think he's all.
Oh yeah, I've
as
seen
well.
that. I've
So-
seen that.
in that video.
I think you have like the Night Loft. It's like a stream. He calls a stream. But yeah, there's that. But and that's definitely that's good content. He's trying to make it the best it can be, but it's still garbage, unfortunately.
I see what you did there.
yeah, it's just garb. What are you gonna do, man?
Man, I guess I need to watch more YouTube videos, but because that's such a good point, just like watching gameplay and trying to see, like, try to figure out. So when you watch these videos on YouTube, are you trying to look more into like how the deck plays, or are you looking at like individually, like how the player is playing, and you're trying to glean off information out of that, or is it like a combination out of both?
I would say it's a combination. I guess the first thing I would do is like I look for decks that I don't play. I look at like what they like to do or what their strong is, or like when did the momentum shift when this deck did this play or something, or what cards are important. The other thing I like to do is like I try to look at it and try to look for mistakes. I'm like, why did this person do this? Like, is that a better play than I had in my head, or did like I just learn a new play? And I definitely learn a lot of new plays by watching somebody do something. But yeah, I try to like kind of critique their playing.
Yeah.
Or if I can't understand why they do something, then I try to like adopt that to my game plan. But yeah, those are the two things I look
If
for.
you ever learn anything pretty big,
Love that.
please clip that video and just be like, hey guys, this is a topic. I watched this video. I got this insight from it. Take this insight.
That's actually one of the articles I want to write. It's like, oh, this week I learned, and then I'm gonna post a video. It's like, wow, this guy did this thing, and I didn't know that. So like, this is something I learned from this stream or this video.
It is
I love
important
that.
when you're playing the game to. I usually learn a lot by losing to that deck, what that deck looks like when they're winning, right? What does their board look like?
Yeah.
And Doflamingo was a big, when they have a bunch of big characters, they win, right? That is almost a guaranteed win for them. But how do they get to that point? Sometimes they can't get to that point because they fought against an opponent that got rid of their board, right?
Actually, this is funny because I just made this connection. The way I learned how to beat Doflamingo as Zoro is watching the Montreal match that you had against the Zoro player, Josh. I think you played against him on stream, and I was like, "Wow, this is supposed to be a really good matchup for Doflamingo. How did he win?"
got picked too. I got the first pick because I was a higher rank than him, So I picked turn order for game 1. And
Mhm.
yeah, we didn't even go to game 3. He just won
Oh.
first one and second
Yeah.
one.
I was like,
the
oh
key
wow,
then?
I had to like adopt whatever he did in that matchup. A lot of it was like a lot of it's very minuscule, like keeping their board clear, swinging out with things when they don't have like a Perona up, so that your Machina doesn't get a lot of value, like
Yeah.
binding DP with Otama, that kind of stuff. Like it's stuff that I picked up, and that helped me in the Doflamingo
Yeah.
matchup.
Yeah.
I'm glad that my loss helped you win on Saturday. That makes me feel
Did
better.
you face a Doflamingo at all on Saturday?
Yeah, I faced one
Mhm.
then, and then I faced one my last tournament I went before, and that was like my last round. So he was like X1 at that point, and like I said, like every time I play Doflamingo and I win, it's the games where I had to try really hard and play really
Yeah.
hard or really well.
The main thing is though, I don't know at what point you played him, right? What I hear most of the time is that Doflamingo players, they are very hard to beat if they're skilled, right? But I don't know a lot of Doflamingo players, right? And I just assumed at least half of them have to be not skilled, right? At least half, maybe, right? It's just a statistical thing.
I think there's definitely a point in time where Dofi was like the deck of the week, but I really feel like at this point of the meta, the people that are left playing Dofi are like good Dofi players because you really have to stick to this deck at this point in time to actually.
People will
like,
still stick
win.
to decks that are bad or that they don't do well
That's
with,
true.
right?
Maybe they just like Dofi on the show or whatever.
Yeah,
but
yeah. I mean, how many bad law players love law, but they still suck with law, right? So
yeah, I play against a lot of bad law players, but with Dofi, I play a lot of good Dofis. Like every
Yeah.
Dofi game is like it's a grind.
The thing is, most Dofis don't know what to do in the mirror matchup, but it's super entertaining because there's this
just
weird
super
thing where like,
degenerate.
oh, so I have a Kuma in my hand. I have to place it now. It's useless later. Or
Yeah.
if you get 2 Kumas, you're pretty juicy. But yeah, did you guys have anything else you wanted to talk about at all?
I think I'm good.
Yeah.
We covered a lot of points.
We might need a part 2 next week after Ohio. Okay. So
yeah,
that's
well, one of us
right.
tops.
I'll see you there,
With both of you
Jackson.
top,
I'll
yeah.
see you at top tables, brother. Hopefully we're
I'll
not
play
top
Battle
together.
Spirits.
Yeah.
I'll be at the One Piece side anyway.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Well, yeah, when
Yeah,
you both
right.
of you top in different games, but you'll meet in the side event for Catan. Okay, you'll both be playing Catan. Catan side event.
We're gonna be a team. We're gonna do
Definitely,
buddy battle.
I think one of you
Catan.
should buy a copy of Catan, and that would be really awesome. That would be great.
Actually, I'm more excited about Lorcana over at Indy when that happens.
Lorcana?
Are you either Lorcana? Are any of you guys getting into Lorcana at any point?
At Gen Con, I will. Yeah, I'll try to beat him out.
Should I be?
Dude, I tried to
should I
sign
be
up for
getting
it.
in
It sold out so
Lorcana?
quick. Like I couldn't even get in.
Am I messing up by not doing Lorcana?
I mean, see, the thing about Harper Lorcana is that their first year, they're not doing any competitive stuff. They don't want to invest in any competitive side of Lorcana first year, which is nice for the collectors and people who just want to play casually.
Oh.
Okay,
That's
well,
lame.
I may have to,
I don't like that.
subscribe to the Patreon of Clyde and get in that Lorcana hype, to get that
Well, if they're
competitive
not
edge.
doing any competitive events, I might be out of this one, boys. Y'all be on your own. Maybe I'll go play Battle Spirits.
Yeah,
They got the money over there.
when we're playing 2-piece. All right, Jackson, do you want to have any shout outs or where we can find your social media at all?
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter and Patreon. It's both /Clyde TCG. I think Twitter, I try to be as impressionable as much as if I might ask me anything, I try to answer it right away. But my Patreon is where I'm gonna try to do more in-depth stuff if you want to get better at the game. And yeah, shout out just to my playtest group, the people in the Grand Line. And yeah, thanks for having me here.
Thank you. And then Saucy.
Good to hype you, Clyde. For me, same place, you guys. Same usual place. Find me on Saucy Plays on YouTube, and all the other channels will be on there as well.
Yeah, you gotta get a Twitter, man. You gotta join that Twitter sphere. I think
I do actually have a Twitter. I'm
Oh.
just not. I'm old, man. I've never used Twitter in the past,
Yeah,
and I'm like,
I didn't
don't know
ask Jackson how old are you?
how it really works.
31.
Okay,
So I'm
okay.
pretty old too.
All right, so yeah, I mean, I'm the youngest. Well, there we go. 28. Let's go.
I'm 33.
Got it. You can always find me here again at KEKFILA's YouTube or the Spotify, which is KEKCast. I also stream on Twitch. I might start streaming on Kick. I don't know. It's a new platform, right? But
Let me know how that goes. Maybe I'll head over there as well. And
yeah, we'll have to collab. We need to
Play some
do
games.
online games together. Not sim though. You know,
play with Jackson.
Yeah, I think we should.
I'll play whatever.
All right.
I like
Yeah,
it.
and I'll commentate.
Yeah,
You
sweet.
can play Dofi. Jackson will beat you with his Zoro deck.
And tell me what I did wrong. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I'm like,
All
misplays.
right, it's sweet. Hey, well, thank you all for watching again. And if you're listening to this, you're a real OG. Again, Loser Dawn and some Luffy playmats in the description. Please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions about anything. But you have a great rest of your nights, you two. Thanks for coming.
You too, my man.
Thanks.
See you guys later. And I'll see you in Ohio.